She didn't know this would be the last quiet moment of her life. Where are you watching from? Comment your country or city below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. The road stretched ahead like a thin ribbon of grey, quiet and endless. Trees stood still on both sides, their shadows leaning toward the car as if listening. Inside, the engine hummed softly, steady and calm, the kind of sound that usually brings comfort. But tonight, comfort felt far away. She sat in the passenger seat with one hand resting gently on her belly, feeling the faint, reassuring weight of the life growing inside her. The baby moved once, a small flutter, and she smiled without thinking. It was a habit now, protective, hopeful, automatic. She turned slightly toward her husband, expecting a smile back. None came. His eyes stayed fixed on the road. His hands gripped the steering wheel a little too tightly. No music played. No casual talk filled the space. Only silence, heavy, deliberate, pressing against her chest. She tried to break it. "It's getting late," she said softly, choosing her words carefully. He nodded, but didn't answer. The nod felt empty, like a door closing without a sound. The car passed a broken streetlight. Then another. The road grew lonelier. She noticed things she hadn't before, the way he avoided her reflection in the window, the way his jaw tightened whenever she shifted in her seat. Small things. Easy to ignore. Harder now. Why does it feel like I'm sitting beside a stranger? She adjusted her seatbelt, suddenly aware of how vulnerable she felt. Pregnancy had made her more sensitive to moods, to changes in the air. Or maybe this wasn't sensitivity at all, maybe it was instinct. A quiet warning she didn't yet understand. She glanced at the dashboard clock. He had taken a longer route than usual. "Is everything okay?" she asked, her voice gentle, almost apologetic. Again, no real answer. Just the sound of tires rolling forward, carrying them deeper into the dark. Outside, the world seemed to pull away. Houses disappeared. Phone signal bars dropped one by one. The road narrowed. Her heart beat faster, though she couldn't explain why. Was it just exhaustion? Or was something truly wrong? She folded her hands together, pressing them lightly against her stomach. "It's just us," she whispered, not sure who she was reassuring, the baby, or herself. The silence grew heavier. The comm began to crack. Small details hint that something is deeply wrong beneath the comm. The man she trusted most was about to become her greatest danger. The car slowed suddenly, without reason, without signal. Gravel crunched beneath the tires as he pulled over to the side of the empty road. Her body jerked forward, the seatbelt tightening against her chest. For a brief second, she thought something had gone wrong with the car. Then she looked at him. His face was calm. Too calm. There was no confusion, no urgency, only a quiet stillness that made her stomach twist. He turned off the engine, and the soft hum that once filled the car vanished. Silence rushed in, thick and suffocating. "Why are we stopping?" she asked, forcing her voice to stay steady. He didn't answer immediately. He stared straight ahead, hands resting on the steering wheel as if he were deciding something final. When he finally spoke, his voice was flat, empty of emotion. "We need to end this." Her breath caught. "End what?" she whispered. He turned to look at her then, and the look in his eyes made her heart drop. There was no love there. No hesitation. Just distance. Cold and sharp. "This," he said simply. "Us." The words hit harder than a slap. She shook her head slowly, trying to understand. "I don't know what you mean," she said. "If something's wrong, we can talk. We always talk." He opened his door and stepped out of the car, shutting it behind him with a firm click. That sound echoed inside her chest. Panic began to rise, slow and heavy. She rolled down her window. "Please," she said. "Just talk to me." He walked a few steps away, then stopped. Without turning around, he spoke again. "You should have seen this coming." Her hand moved instinctively to her belly. "I'm pregnant," she said, her voice breaking. "I'm carrying your child." He turned back, his face unreadable. For a moment, hope flickered inside her. But his next words crushed it. "That doesn't change anything." How could love disappear so completely? Her mind raced, searching for the man she married, the man who once promised to protect her, to never let harm come near her. But standing there now was someone else entirely. Someone she didn't recognize. "This can't be real, he wouldn't hurt us." But the way he avoided her eyes told her everything. This wasn't anger spoken in haste. This wasn't a moment of weakness. This was decision. Fear crept in, replacing the trust she had built over years. The night air felt colder. The road felt farther from safety than ever before. And in that moment, she understood something painful and irreversible. The man she loved was no longer on her side. Trust shatters as fear replaces love. The doors were locked, and the fire had already started. The sound came quietly. A soft, final click. She didn't understand it at first, until her hand reached for the door handle and nothing happened. She pulled again, harder this time. Still nothing. "Open the door," she said, her voice tightening. "Please, open the door." He didn't respond. She watched him step out of the car, his movements slow and deliberate. No anger. No rush. Just calm. The kind of calm that felt terrifying. He closed his door carefully, as if he didn't want to make noise. Her breathing quickened. "What are you doing?" she asked, panic rising. "Don't leave me like this." He walked toward the back of the car. That was when she smelled it, sharp, bitter, unfamiliar. Her heart slammed against her ribs as she realized the truth. "No, please don't," she cried, pounding on the window with her palm. A sudden flash of light reflected off the side mirror. Then heat. Real heat. Flames leapt upward, wild and fast, licking the metal like something alive. "Fire!" she screamed. Smoke began to slip inside the car, thin at first, then thicker, darker. It burned her eyes and throat. She coughed, gasping for air as fear took over her body. Her hands shook violently as she yanked at the seatbelt, fingers slipping, refusing to cooperate. She kicked the door with all her strength. Once. Twice. The pain shot through her legs, but the door didn't move. "Help!" she screamed into the empty night. "Someone help me!" The road answered with silence. The heat grew stronger. The air became heavy, impossible to breathe. Smoke filled the car, wrapping around her like a dark blanket. Tears streamed down her face as panic drowned every thought. Why would anyone do this? Her chest burned. Her vision blurred. She leaned forward, coughing uncontrollably, trying to stay conscious. Her hands moved instinctively to her belly, pulling herself inward, protecting the life inside her. "I can't die here, my baby can't die here." Outside, through the smoke and flame, she saw him walk away. He didn't run. He didn't look back. Each step he took felt like a knife twisting deeper into her heart. The man who once promised to protect her was disappearing into the darkness, leaving her trapped with fire and fear. The flames climbed higher. The smoke thickened. Her strength began to fade. Every breath felt like it might be her last. The door stayed locked. The fire kept burning. Panic sets in as smoke fills the air and escape seems impossible. She wasn't fighting for herself alone anymore. If you believe a mother's strength is unmatched, like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe for more powerful stories. The smoke grew thicker with every second, pressing against her chest like a heavy weight. Each breath burned her throat, sharp and painful, stealing the air from her lungs. The world around her blurred, turning into shadows and heat and fear. But through it all, one feeling remained painfully clear. Her baby. She wrapped both arms around her belly, curling forward as much as the cramped space allowed. Her body moved on instinct now, no longer thinking, only protecting. The fire roared outside, but inside her, something stronger began to rise. "No, please," she whispered, her voice barely louder than the crackling flames. "Not my baby." Her mind drifted between moments, soft memories of gentle kicks, quiet nights where she spoke to the life growing inside her, promises she had made without saying them out loud. She remembered the first time she heard the heartbeat. How it had changed everything. The smoke made her cough violently. Tears streamed down her face as her chest tightened. She pressed her forehead against the steering wheel, fighting to stay awake, fighting to stay present. How much pain can a mother endure? Her vision dimmed, but she forced her eyes open. She couldn't let go. Not now. Not here. She tried again to pull at the door handle, even though her hands felt weak and numb. She kicked the door once more, screaming through the smoke, refusing to be silent. "Please, just let me save my child." Her lips moved in broken prayers, words she hadn't spoken in years, whispered now with desperate faith. She didn't know who was listening. She didn't care. She only knew she needed a miracle. The heat wrapped around her like a closing fist. Her skin burned. Her lungs screamed. But still, she held on. She leaned back, cradling her belly gently, rocking slightly as if the small movement could bring comfort. "I'm here," she murmured. "I'm still here." Time stretched painfully slow. Every second felt stolen. Her strength faded, but her will did not. Somewhere deep inside, beyond fear and betrayal, a mother's instinct took control. This was no longer about survival. This was about love. And love refused to surrender. Memories, prayers, and raw survival instinct collide in a race against time. Just when hope was fading, fate sent a stranger. If you believe destiny can change lives in a single moment, like this video, share it with someone who still believes in hope, and subscribe for more powerful stories. The road was supposed to be empty. Silent. Forgotten. But fate had other plans. A pair of headlights appeared in the distance, cutting through the darkness. A lone car moved steadily forward, its driver focused on getting home, unaware that just ahead, 2 lives were slipping away. Then he saw it. At first, he thought his eyes were playing tricks on him, a strange glow on the side of the road, flickering and alive. He slowed down, squinting through the windshield. The glow grew brighter. Orange. Wild. Fire. His foot pressed harder on the brake as the truth hit him. A car was burning. He pulled over sharply, heart pounding, the heat already visible in the air. For a brief moment, he stayed seated, frozen by what he was seeing. Flames climbed higher, smoke rising thick and dark into the night sky. What if it explodes? Fear whispered caution into his mind. He was alone. No fire truck. No help nearby. Every instinct told him to stay back, to wait, to call for help. Then he heard it. A sound barely louder than the fire, a muffled cry. Weak. Desperate. His chest tightened. Someone is still inside. He didn't think anymore. He didn't plan. He opened his door and ran. The heat hit him immediately, fierce and unforgiving. Smoke burned his eyes as he moved closer, each step harder than the last. He covered his mouth with his sleeve, coughing, forcing himself forward. "Hold on," he shouted, though he didn't know if she could hear him. "I'm here." Through the smoke, he saw movement inside the car. A shadow. An arm pressing weakly against the window. His heart sank and surged at the same time. "She's alive," he whispered. The flames roared louder, pushing him back, but he stepped forward again. Fear trembled in his legs, but something stronger pulled him on, a choice made in seconds, one that would change everything. This was no longer about danger. It was about humanity. He reached the car, pounding on the window, searching for a way in. The heat scorched his skin, but he didn't stop. Somewhere behind him, his abandoned car stood with its door still open, forgotten. In that moment, he was no longer a stranger. He was hope. He was the answer to a prayer whispered through smoke and tears. His hesitation turns into action as he rushes toward the burning car. One brave choice saved 2 lives. The fire roared louder now, fierce and uncontrollable. Flames wrapped around the car, cracking against the metal, feeding on every second of delay. Smoke poured out in thick waves, turning the air into something barely breathable. The stranger circled the car desperately, coughing, eyes burning, heart racing. The heat was unbearable, pushing him back, warning him to stop. He ignored it. He struck the window with all his strength. Once. Twice. Pain shot through his arm, but the glass held. Inside, she could barely see him. Her world had narrowed to smoke, fire, and the sound of her own breath struggling to survive. Her head felt heavy. Her body weak. Still, she lifted her hand, pressing it against the window, a final sign of life. "Please," she whispered, though no sound came out. He heard nothing, but he saw her. "There," he shouted into the empty night. "I've got you." He grabbed a heavy rock from the roadside and swung again. This time, the glass shattered, exploding outward. Heat rushed at him like a living force, but he reached inside without hesitation. The flame snapped close, angry and impatient. Could he get her out in time? He unbuckled her seatbelt carefully, supporting her weight as her body collapsed forward. She coughed weakly, barely conscious, her head falling against his shoulder. The fire crackled louder, metal groaning under the pressure. "Just a few more seconds, please." He wrapped one arm around her, shielding her belly with his own body as best he could. With every ounce of strength he had left, he pulled her free from the burning car and stumbled backward. They hit the ground hard. For a single heartbeat, everything went silent. Then the explosion came. A deafening blast ripped through the night as flames burst high into the air, sending heat and light in every direction. The car was gone, consumed in fire and noise and destruction. The stranger shielded her with his body, holding her close as debris rained down around them. When the fire finally settled, he looked at her face, searching for breath. She coughed. Air rushed back into her lungs. Weak. Fragile. Alive. Sirens wailed in the distance, faint at first, then louder. Red and blue lights cut through the darkness, growing closer with every second. Help was finally coming. Tears filled his eyes as relief crashed over him. He hadn't thought about consequences. He hadn't thought about danger. He had only chosen to act. And that choice meant everything. Life hangs by a thread as help finally arrives. Surviving was only the beginning of her battle. The room was quiet, filled with the soft rhythm of machines and the faint smell of medicine. White walls surrounded her, clean and cold, but she was alive. Bandages wrapped her arms. Her body ached in places she couldn't explain. Yet beneath the pain, something stronger remained. Her hand rested protectively on her belly. A nurse adjusted the blanket gently, offering a small smile before stepping away. The danger had passed, but the memories had not. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw flames. Every silence reminded her of that road. She swallowed hard as a doctor and an officer stood nearby, waiting patiently. "Take your time," someone said softly. She nodded. Her voice trembled as she began to speak, slowly at first, then stronger. She told them everything: the quiet drive, the sudden stop, the locked doors, the fire. Each word felt heavy, but freeing. For the first time, the truth was no longer trapped inside her. "How could someone you loved do this?" the officer asked gently. Tears welled in her eyes, but she didn't look away. "I don't know," she answered. "But I know what he did." The words echoed in the room. Outside that hospital room, the world was changing. Questions were being asked. Witnesses were coming forward. The burned car told its own story, one that could not be erased. The husband's name was no longer spoken with respect, but with suspicion. Evidence surfaced. Timelines were traced. His calm walk away from the flames became impossible to explain. Did he really think the truth would stay buried? She lay awake that night, listening to the quiet beeps beside her bed, thinking of everything she had lost, and everything she had nearly lost. Fear still lived inside her, but it no longer controlled her. "I survived for a reason." The stranger who saved her life stood briefly at the doorway earlier that day. He didn't ask for thanks. He didn't stay long. He only nodded once, as if to say goodbye, then disappeared back into the world. She would never forget him. Days passed. Strength slowly returned. Bruises faded. But something else grew stronger too, her voice. Justice did not come loudly or quickly. It moved slowly, step by step. But it moved forward. And for the first time since that night, she felt it. The husband's actions come under scrutiny as justice slowly moves forward. From the ashes, she chose to live. The morning sun spilled gently through the curtains, painting golden streaks across the room. It was quiet, peaceful, different from the silence of that fateful road. She sat on the edge of her bed, hands cradling her belly, feeling the soft movement of life she had fought so desperately to protect. Every flutter reminded her that she had survived, that she had a second chance. Outside, the city moved on without knowing the story that had nearly ended in tragedy. She stepped onto her balcony, letting the breeze touch her face. The air smelled of possibilities, of mornings yet to come, of a life rebuilt from fragments of fear and courage. Her thoughts wandered to the stranger, the man who had appeared when all hope seemed lost. She would likely never see him again, yet his actions had changed everything. Did he know the difference he made? She wondered. His bravery had carved a path through fire, leading her toward life and clarity. Each day, she found strength in small routines, preparing meals, organizing her home, reading stories to the baby growing inside her. The world was not the same, nor was she. She carried scars, physical and emotional, but they were no longer chains. They were reminders of resilience, proof that she could endure what once seemed impossible. Friends and family returned slowly, offering comfort and love. They listened to her story, marveled at her courage, and shared in her relief. Yet she realized that the most important relationship she was nurturing now was with herself, the self that refused to give in, the self that had survived fire and betrayal. "I am not defined by what tried to destroy me." Evenings brought reflection. She sometimes walked the quiet streets near her home, letting memories rise and fall like waves. She remembered the locked doors, the flames, the panic, but she also remembered the hands that pulled her from death, the warmth of hope that carried her forward. Every heartbeat now was a promise, every breath a victory. The stranger had disappeared into the flow of life, a silent hero whose presence would forever linger in her memory. She honored him not with words, but by living fully, by embracing the second chance she had been given. Each decision she made, each step forward, was shaped by the fire she had endured. And as she held her belly close one more time, feeling the life inside her, she whispered softly, almost to herself, "We begin again. Stronger. Braver. Alive." The stranger fades into the distance, leaving behind a destiny forever changed. Sometimes fate arrives when hope is already burning. Life has a way of surprising us, often in ways we cannot imagine. One moment, we feel safe, held in the arms of trust and routine. The next, everything can shift, leaving us staring at danger we never saw coming. Betrayal can be sudden, cruel, and unimaginable, but so can courage. She sits quietly now, reflecting on the path that brought her here. The memory of the locked car, the smoke, the flames, and the stranger who appeared at the right moment still lingers, vivid and raw. How fragile life truly is, she thinks. And yet, in that fragility lies the power to rise, to fight, to reclaim what is ours. Every heartbeat, every breath, became a choice. A choice to survive. A choice to protect her child. A choice to let fear transform into action. She realizes now that courage is not the absence of fear, it is the decision to act despite it. We often wait for life to hand us a sign, for someone to intervene, for destiny to decide. But sometimes, it is within us all along. The fire that nearly destroyed her also revealed her strength, her resilience, and her ability to shape a future even from the ashes of pain. Could I have imagined this strength existed inside me? She wonders. The answer comes not in words, but in the life she now holds, in the calm after the storm, in the resolve that no betrayal can take away her worth or her power. Her story is not just her own. It belongs to every woman who has faced danger, doubt, or despair. It is a reminder that even when circumstances seem hopeless, even when those we trust fail us, the courage to survive and the will to move forward can redefine everything. She knows the road ahead will not always be easy. There will be challenges, fears, and scars. But she has learned that strength grows from choice, from action, and from believing in oneself when the world seems determined to push us down. And as she looks forward, holding her child close and feeling the life she fought so hard to protect, she whispers a promise, not just to herself, but to every woman who might hear her story: "You are stronger than you know. Your courage can light the darkest path."